Hi, I'm just sharing this site that I've come across called Birth of a New Earth blog, creating our own world, leaving evil behind, and it's promoting this idea of dual citizens. And, a lot of what's being shared here is important information. More people do need to get aware of things, and I'm not... So I'm sharing the site, so in a sense I'm giving it some publicity, and hopefully if people do join this, subscribe to this, that they will actively address some of the issues that I've got with this site. I was thinking of subscribing, but actually I can't subscribe because of some of the content that's here, and it could be because it's controlled opposition designed to further the interests of the very enemies that the site claims to be identifying and exposing, or it could be just pure lack of full understanding exactly of how things operate and work in this world, in terms of the kind of language that we use and how we interpret the facts and information that come in front of us. And those facts and information are extreme, and they can lead people to taking a very extreme perspective on both the problem and addressing the problem and presenting the problem. So, this video is not to necessarily criticise this site, unless it is, a covert form of controlled opposition, which personally I don't judge. Situations, people speak for themselves, and hopefully people will share this information. I'll send it to the person that's made the blog this video and give them a chance to make some alterations, because that's how the world works. And if we're going to be dual citizens of our, a national citizen and a citizen of Earth, then that does mean that we have to get a discourse going, and we have to share our collective understanding and suggestions and advice and guidance, and then we all mutually benefit from that, because we're all not perfect in this world, and we're all sometimes behaving out of sync with what really needs to be done and where we really need to, what roads we really need to be going by. There are lots of deceiving signposts along the way in life that can lead people down dangerous and wrong avenues. So I hope that this video will be taken by the people who created this blog in the spirit of making it as a dual, somebody who considers themselves a dual citizen. And in fact, I'm a triple citizen, because I'm a citizen of my nation, I'm a citizen of Earth, and I'm also a citizen of this universe. And it would be nice to have that included as the citizenship. So the problem that I have, first of all, is, you see this here, Jewish companies, the Jewish agenda to destroy the white race, the history of Jewish human sacrifice, Jewish rape and murder of white children. You see, it's this that I can't subscribe to that. If you want to talk about Zionism, talk about Zionism. If you want to complain about how religious extremists of every faith in this world, not just Jews, Christians, Muslims, you name it, extremists of every faith in this world are conspiring with each other under the banner of Zionism against the good people of Earth and the democratic socio-capitalist societies that is our human right to establish and live in, thriving in, under universal law, within a system of abundance, in compassion. You see, that's where we need to be heading. And all the evils of this world will conspire against us, and they will call themselves a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew under the heading Zionist. They all fit perfectly under the heading Zionist, and all of them are supporting Zionists, as we know. The far-right extremist groups in Britain and America who are known to attack Jews, as well as black people and Muslims and South American people, anybody really of colour, okay? We know that they are aligned with Zionists. We know that in Britain, the far-right extremists, so-called the political leaders of such far-right groups are, have stated, I am a Zionist. David Cameron, a white Christian British Tory, ex-Prime Minister, stated, I am a Zionist. So, all these words where you've got Jewish, you need to change it to Zionist, because that is then putting Jewish people at risk. Jewish people who not only do not support Zionists, but themselves are oppressed by that alleged ideology, okay? And also who have suffered directly through it and are at risk. And I noticed in here there's something about, the Holocaust, 6 million Jews was a hoax. We know by now, according to the evidence, and I'll leave the link of all the newspapers, the facts speak for themselves. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It is a fact that the Zionists who took it upon themselves to represent, as they call it, the world's Jewry, okay, repeatedly were begging for money to establish Israel on behalf of the plight of 6 million Jews. So yeah, after World War II, the same thing stuck, 6 million Jews. It is very likely that 6 million Jews were not murdered by Hitler. Okay? Alright, that's a fact. But as usual, that's what liars do when they tell lies, evil people. Those lies then serve to cause even more lies and to actually distract people from the reality of the problem that the lies themselves were claiming to be addressing. So in that case, Nazism, the persecution of Jews in Germany. What happened to the Jews of Germany, whether 6 million died, 6,000 or 600, okay? People were, in their tens of thousands, forced to flee Germany. People lost everything that they had. People suffered persecution. The people that that couldn't flee, they were rounded up, put into ghettos. They were then transported to concentration camps, where many of them were killed. Many of the vast majority forced to work as slaves, starved, experimented on, raped, tortured, okay, and for what reason? Because they were a Jew. And who else was with them? Oh yes, the gay people who had disabilities, mental health problems, people who didn't support Hitler, who were active against him, people of colour, anybody actually who didn't fit in with the Nazi ideology of what made a perfect German citizen. But we know that the vast majority of people contained in those concentration camps, for no other reason than the fact that they're Jewish, they were a Jewish German, what happened to them was a Holocaust. And nobody can deny that, okay? The fact that Zionists have fed on that, a situation that, according to all the evidence, it looks like they were covertly funding in one way or another. And then they profit from it by getting Israel and fully controlling Israel and persuading Jews to go to Israel, to go and live there, and then placing them and getting them to raise their children under a culture of Zionist propaganda that actually is damaging children's consciousness and psychology with a doctrine of hate. And now we see that same doctrine of hate now is what we're supposed to be, I mean, what's this? Meghan Markle, the mongrel crypto Jew. What is this site really about? I have to ask myself, what are you really about? What are you really promoting? Because if we're going to have a new earth, then it is going to involve discussion, and it is going to involve queries, questions. Because we don't want to leave, you know, if we're going to resolve the problems that we're facing on this planet, what we don't need is more hate, more division, more lies, more distractions, more divergence from reality and facts. Because the fact is that Jews are not plotting to overtake the earth. That would be Zionists, and including those Zionists, people like Donald Trump, people like Boris Johnson, Theresa May, even the Queen of England, David Cameron, Tommy Robinson, the Saudi elite, ISIS even, the Catholic Church, you know, the Church of England. Include all the top people, interests of all those groups are all serving the Zionist agenda. And one of their biggest agendas is to destroy Judaism. The very essence of Judaism is what they are about. Because what is at the core of Christianity? Judaism. What is at the core of Islam? Judaism. What is actual Buddhism and Hinduism really all about? Caring for one another, compassionate living, living according to the highest level of your being, living in dignity, raising people to live with respect for each other and the planet that we live on. That's what it all comes down to. That's what Judaism all comes down to, is creating a healthy, stable community environment to raise a family, to raise children, to grow up righteously. That's what's being attacked. And today, in the 21st century, it comes right down to our human rights, our earth rights, animal rights, women's rights, children's rights, workers' rights, the law. And the law is not being satisfied. It is being broken by these people, the Zionists, now controlling the land that they've appropriated for themselves and titled Israel. Okay, they're claiming that they are entitled to violate the sovereignty of foreign countries, and they're allowed to ignore the directives of international law in any field they desire. Okay, that is their statement. That is basically an admittance of an intent to commit crime on our planet, against our planet, and against every nation on earth. You see. And that's why it's very, very important to avoid this type of thing, you know, Jews. Because look at the things that are being done by so-called Christians in America. Are you going to say Christians are doing this, Christians are persecuting these people or serving these interests? No. Because they're not just Christians, are they? They are a political ideology. And that's the whole point about Zionism. It isn't a faith. It's actually a political, it's a religious pseudo faith. A political and economic ideology. That's what Zionism is. It isn't just a faith, is it? Or a branch of a faith. You know, we wouldn't say evangelicals or represent the whole of Christianity. We wouldn't judge Christians according to the actions and beliefs of the Ku Klux Klan. But you see, the Ku Klux Klan aren't controlling the World Bank, and that's what makes Zionists very dangerous. The Ku Klux Klan don't own illegal nuclear weapons. So get straight, because this is not helping, and it concerns me. This does concern me, because this is putting innocent people, good caring people, who I know personally, good caring Jews who do not support Israel, they do not support Zionists, okay? Well, some of them do support Israel, they don't support what the Zionists are doing in their name in Israel. But many Jews do not even support the nation of Israel. So, you know, all this about Jews, it is totally wrong, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous. And living in Brexit Britain right now, you know, this type of stuff, it is dangerous to my fellow citizens who I stand with, the Jews of Britain. Okay, and even the Zionist Jews, you know, because I'm not saying all of them really are fully aware of what it is they're actually supporting. They're confused people. You know, we're not going to get rid of confusion by hate. Yes, we can point out their crimes. That's not being hateful to explain to somebody that, well, I'm very sorry, you know, your government Israel is committing war crimes. It's a fact, and now something needs to be done. Either you're going to stop it, or we're going to have to find some way of arresting you, and you're going to have to make reparations to the victims of your crime. These are facts. It's no good just all going on a big gossip monger and expressing our hatred and oh, those Jews aren't the evil, blah blah blah. You know, when it isn't Jews, it's Zionists, and even they're not real Zionists. Because true Zionists are Rastafarian, and they're about as far removed from Israeli Zionists as you could possibly get on this planet. In fact, the Rastafarians are living as best they can in this world according to the highest echelons of what human consciousness and being ought to be, which is, you know, a compassionate, caring lifestyle, a commitment to peace. But yeah, that doesn't mean to say that we've got no right to stand up and fight for our rights if we have to. If the people who are threatening our children in removing and denying those rights. And that's what we are up against today. That's what I'm dealing with in Britain today. Good, caring people of the political world in Britain have been denigrated, trashed, and meanwhile, an absolute total criminal liar, an abuser, is sitting as Prime Minister, allegedly by a landslide, which, again, we've got the evidence, all the evidence to prove very strongly to support the lawful suspicion of a rigged election. And this man is waiting to scrap our human rights. He said he isn't going to... He's got no legal duty to provide people with food when we get his hard Brexit, which is actually legal. No, but he's got a stockpile of body bags. That's the reality I'm facing in this world. Who's Boris Johnson with? He isn't with the Jews. No, the Jews of Britain have been attacked by him and his Zionist friends and the kind of entities, social entities that they inspire among the community grassroots levels, like Britain First, spreading its hatred against Muslims, against Jews. So this is a very, very serious issue, and I hope that the person who's doing this website, I will happily join you. I will happily devote my time to cleaning this up and making it right as it needs to be. If you are sincere about moving forward out of the division, the hate, the crime, the horror, if you are sincere about having a new earth, well, that is not going to happen while ever this type of stuff is going on. And being, you know, if this is the alternative, what hope is there? Because I go through this and I feel depressed. I feel depressed because how's that helping Palestine? By condemning the very Jews of this world who themselves are suffering oppression and are trying to support the people of Palestine. And that's why I don't even support the boycott and sanctions against Israel, because I don't support sanctions, because I know that a lot of Israeli people themselves are oppressed by these Zionists. They are doing their best as much as they can to help the Palestinians as well and get stuff through to them. So if we sanction them, what's going to happen to the Palestinians? They're going to suffer even worse. And then at the same time, the good people of Israel are going to be suffering as well. And, you know, the vast majority of them aren't Zionist Jews. Many of them are of Christian faith, Muslim faith, that live in Israel, who are oppressed. So you have to be very, very careful, looking at the situation with the Western perspective. People think, oh, it was the boycott that ended apartheid in South Africa. Was it really? I don't think so. I think people are giving themselves a bit too much credit there for refusing to buy some grapes. That they really do believe that, yes, that ended apartheid in South Africa. A lot more was going on behind the scenes than that, and I can tell you now. And there's not enough going on behind the scenes facing the realities of the apartheid now happening in every nation. Divide and rule, that's what they need to do. So is this site here just simply to attack Jews and thereby totally annihilate even the concept of God and the law that the foundations of every society in this world are built on? That is part of our humanity, it's part of our consciousness to live righteously and lawfully, because, an intelligent species always needs to know what is the right way, because if we go the wrong way, that's where we start getting damaged. We live on a volatile planet, in a volatile universe. Stuff happens, calamities happen, earthquakes, volcanoes, meteorite strikes, disease outbreaks, all kinds of problems are there to afflict life. An intelligent species learns how to cope and how best to move forward and to be prepared. We're not prepared right now. We're not prepared for anything. The vast majority of people, because people aren't allowed to be prepared, or they're not even aware of what's coming. We're living stupidly, and a stupid species cannot survive in this universe. Okay, if we're going to get born into our universal being and our true human heritage, then, we're going to have to move right out of all this condemnation of Jews. It's like people give examples of the actions of the worst extremist Muslims and claim, look, this is Islam. Okay? It's absolute nonsense. Islam advises people to follow books of knowledge and to abandon old ways and traditions which new knowledge has proven wrong. So, 21st century Muslims were not in any way at all living the way ISIS members or extremist Muslims are now saying everybody should adopt, This, we need to move out of extremism, live with the law, universal law. And I hope that you'll promote it. Like I say, I will happily join you. I will happily support this channel if you are prepared to clean all this up. And if not, then people, be aware of stuff like this and stay away from it. And don't allow yourself to be contaminated by the sweeping statements and judgments here, because life is the situation is a lot more complicated than many people can know. So, beware of the night lights, because they can be misleading.